Welcome to Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz, a transparent and engaging conversational dive into meaningful topics impacting local government in Bismarck, North Dakota. Bismarck Insights is dedicated to removing barriers between the city of Bismarck and the citizens we serve every day.
Hello and welcome to Bismarck Insights. I'm Mayor Mike Schmitz, and today we're going to focus on economic development. And with me I have Karel Sovak and Kate Herzog. Karel's from the University of Mary, Dean of the Gary Tharaldson School of Business. Welcome. And Kate, you're with the Downtowners, and we have this relationship with the city and the Downtowners and another organization in town to work on economic development. And I know we have some things you're working on, but first off, Karel, why don't you just give a little introduction so people know who you are?
Sure. I originally came to North Dakota through the Air Force. I was stationed up at Minot Air Force Base, and I was in there for 4 years. They never sent me anywhere. I got out, I started my own business. I was in the insurance business for 20 years. I then cashed that out and went back to school because I wanted to teach. That was my goal. Started adjuncting wherever I could and then landed with the University of Mary. So I went to the University of Mary now for 22 years. I became dean in 2020, so this is my 5th year as dean, and just shaking and moving out there on the Hill. It's fantastic.
Wonderful. Kate, just introduce yourself again. I know some people know you more than others, but
I'm Kate Herzog. I'm with the Downtowners Association. I've been there more than 15 years actually, which feels kind of weird, but we've seen a lot of different things happen from when I started to where we're at now. We went through also through a global pandemic. So it's been a great ride, and excited to continue to sort of build up the community as we move forward.
Sure. So let's talk about the relationship that the Downtowners has with Karel and what the Downtowners portion of the economic development process is for the city of Bismarck. And then I know we have a particular topic that we want to cover as well, the call for projects.
So how do we know Karel? Well, we know Karel, I think organically we sort of met Karel through 1 Million Cups and a bunch of other community-based groups like Disrupt Well, and we've been through a lot of stuff together, and so we just kind of had this organic relationship. I think Karel is a fantastic ambassador for the University of Mary. He's in town, he's working with groups. He's had students who have started businesses that are members of ours now, I would say. Bismarck Magazine being one of the biggest ones that I can think of, and so it just seemed like a natural relationship that we would work with the School of Business as a business organization. And Karel's been fantastic in terms of being sort of a young but also experienced person in our community that's been able to give us some of that feedback. And so when we started the Downtown Bismarck Community Foundation and the Council and Partnership Program, Karel jumped on and said, how can I help? That's usually what he says, how can I help? And so we said, please come on, be our wisdom team, help us as we kind of work through a lot of these projects. And with the city of Bismarck and the economic development contract, Karel's an integral piece of that.
And what is the role for the Downtowners in that economic, because it's kind of divided but yet shared with the Chamber EDC, so let's just try to make people understand what it is your kind of role is. I mean, I understand it, but not everybody else does.
Sure. So yeah, with the Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC, we split an economic development contract with the city. They might focus a little bit more on talent recruitment, retention, workforce, because they're touching a lot of different parts of the community. We do some of that, but we're working on programs that might help with affordable housing, like the Neighborhood Reinvestment Initiative. We work on some talent recruitment and retention with our multicultural welcome events, welcoming new people, new Americans to the community. And then I think the topic we're going to talk about today is allowing the community to ideate and to pitch the city of Bismarck, what they want to see, what they feel the community needs, and maybe how they can be a part of the solution as well. Sure. And I don't know, Karel has.
Go ahead, Karel, because that's probably where Karel fits in big piece on it.
Sure.
Anyway.
Ever since I've gotten to the University of Mary, it's always having to have a pulse on the Bismarck community and finding out what they need, the business community. Talking with them, and it's one thing to offer a menu of something and saying, hey, here's what we have to offer, but to actually visit with the business owners and find out what they need, then that way we can take that back to what our students need. So that's one of the things about our School of Business is very experiential based, project based. So we try to incorporate the businesses not only into our classrooms, but into the projects within those classrooms. So then it became, well, we're already doing some work with the downtowners. What more can we do? And a part of that was we like to work with entrepreneurs. We like to help develop and get that ecosystem going. And so 1 Million Cups has a great platform for doing that. So instrumental in helping with 1 Million Cups, and now it's just thriving. Sometimes you just step aside and let good people do their thing. And so that's built up very, very well. We've had some startup sessions and workshops and things like that. We work with Generator, which is kind of a Fargo-based outfit that helps, and I have 2 students that are currently in that. So it's what's the natural progression for our students to get off the hill and come in? It's just working with the downtowners who are doing these types of things. And of course the Chamber has some entrepreneurial aspects with Lemonade Day. But it was really just to help us. I mean, our mission is to help with the cultural aspects and certainly the religious aspects and academic aspects of our region and even beyond. And so it was a natural fit for us to be a part, the Gary Tharaldson School of Business, to be a part of the downtowners. It's who's the shaker and mover in our community, and Kate and Don and their group certainly were doing that. And that's where we just kind of, like she said, organically came together. And it's been really a good fit for the last probably 10 years.
And just the whole concept of the University of Mary, and not just University of Mary, frankly, it's BSC and it's United Times Technical School as well, but that's a very important part of our economic development needs in the city of Bismarck, bringing talent. And I know I feel a great experience with the University of Mary and the interns who have turned into employees for me and my accounting firm. But I think just having that more close relationship with the downtowners in this particular case, one of our organizations that's trying to drive economic development and making sure our businesses that are even here, not just new businesses, but the ones that are here can be sustainable. And that's awesome because that's part of that whole thing. And that's the process of the University of Mary helping us or the other schools.
That's the opportunity that we needed for our students. We can't just bring them here and leave them up on the hill. We've got to have those internship experiences and other experiences for them to say, hey, I want to stay. And our statistics are bearing it out. Like 70% of our business students come from out of state. We've just got this at 70% of those graduate and stay here. So we have a lot of good economic workforce that we keep here, whether they like the quality of life or they find somebody to be in a relationship with. We feel that we're being a part of that with what we're doing, and certainly with what the Chamber is doing as kind of a triangulation, if you will.
Right. That brings me to the call for projects, because I think that's part of what can help retain some of those new to Bismarck Mandan individuals.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the call for projects.
Yeah, we, the City of Bismarck actually initially did this in 2019, a call for projects, and it just was reaching out to the community and saying, hey, what would you like to see? Pitch us a project, pitch us a business, pitch us an idea or a program. And we got a lot of great ideas out of that as a city. Things like the Riverfront Development Master Plan came out of that, which is now, full bore, and they've raised a lot of money. They're going to have a public beach and some other gathering places for people to access the river. There were sort of social economic groups like the Missouri Slope Area United Way and their Center for Opportunity, things about, generally, what did they call it, Karl? Social health detox facility. And that's been a huge topic for the city, and things are sort of happening there. But also the arts plan, the arts master plan came out of that. It was an awesome experience. And so, maybe Karl, we were talking about doing a pitch challenge, but it sort of morphed into maybe this again.
Yeah, and so Mandan has done the pitch challenge. It's been very successful. We wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to make either individuals or groups or businesses or even outside entities that said, hey, how can we improve? How do we make Bismarck better is kind of what the call for projects is. So it's certainly an entrepreneurial effort. It has to be where people are coming together, they're innovative. There are not a lot of funds that are attached to this, so it's going to have to be creativity. How can we bring something vibrant into our community and really make it available to the masses. That's what we want to do. But then it's something that's recognizable within the community and say, that's why I want to be a part of Bismarck's growth and opportunities that exist out there.
So as we look at the call for projects that's now been initiated for this next several months or month and a half, however long it takes, I guess, probably to get to that, what are some of the things that you're hoping will come forward? What do you think would be great for the community? And not to lead anybody down a path, but
Sure.
we've got to give some ideas so people know what to think about.
Yeah, I'll let you answer
I
a
know
question first.
My ideal thing is, and coming from Minot, I remember when they had their initiative for signage coming into the community. And I was driving back from Grand Forks into Minot, and I saw one of those signs. I'm like, that's what Bismarck needs. They need somebody to go out there and research and say, how can we get better signage, especially since I think that the sign that we have coming in from the north, it doesn't even belong there, right? I mean, maybe our growth has exceeded that. So it would be nice to have more welcoming signage coming into our community. And I'm not talking about digital signage or anything. It would be an expense, a major expense, and an ongoing expense. I'm just talking about somebody who's coming up with creativity. Maybe some artists get together, and we find some really abstract that showcases what Bismarck is all about. That would be one of the things that I would like to see. And if it doesn't get submitted, I might submit it as a call for project. But then I have to excuse myself from the whole thing. So, but those are the kind of ideas that we would like to see. Something that's going to enhance the vibrancy of the Bismarck area for the individuals that live here and for our guests that comes through.
I would encourage folks to look at the City of Bismarck's existing plans. There's a lot of plans and effort that goes into making long-term plans. There's the downtown sub-area study, there's an arts and culture plan. Look at those plans and look at the implementation things that we wanted to get out of those. And if it's something that you're passionate about or you think you can execute, the city's already gone through that process of kind of vetting, this is something that we want. And so that would be also a good place, I think, for people to start. When I think of the infill and redevelopment plan, we had a big, I think 23 different things we wanted to get out of that and have accomplished maybe 18 or 19 of those. So I'd really encourage folks to look at our plans, because when the city does a plan, you want to execute the plan as well. You want to implement the plan. Otherwise, people get plan fatigue and say, we did that, but then we didn't actually implement it. We have a plan, but what are we getting out of it?
So it'd be more than, the city's done a strategic plan as the city,
right,
for needs of the city as a community. The current strategic planning that's going to go on is more centric on staff functionality for the city of Bismarck. But in addition to that strategic plan, we have the 2045. We'll call it master growth plan or whatever, but that would be another place for people to look as, is there something within that whole concept that could bring forward a project that will make our communities welcoming. And I like welcoming because I actually have that initiative going.
There you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, that's kind of the idea that came from a business plan pitch or a business case pitch, if you will. We really wanted this to be a pitch for projects. So you get your people together or get your idea together and take it from a scrap of paper that you wrote things down on and bring it to us. We have the committee that's going to vet that before we take it to the commissioners and decide which projects do we want to push forward. And we're really excited with the ones that we had before, and really many of those having been completed. We're really excited for what we can see for what's going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years.
Sure. So what's our timeline to encourage people to get things in?
Yeah, so we are, today's March 14th, I believe, and we're going to have the application process open for 6 weeks. You can go to bismarckprojects.com or you can go through the City of Bismarck's website to get to the application. If people have questions, we kind of have an FAQ there. Reach out to us. We help you kind of get your project or your narrative ready to go. There's a few different categories. How does this support the community? What other partners are you going to engage? We've said 6 weeks. We just want to make sure that we have enough time, that folks have enough time to get things in, but also not so hard of a deadline. If they need a little extra time or help, that we can help them get those projects in. And wanted to get it to you guys before your budget process starts and as you look for your planning in 2026.
Okay. And not that I want to necessarily be area-wide per se, but I would encourage people from my perspective, it doesn't have to be only Bismarck. If it somehow incorporates Mandan or Lincoln or Burley and Morton County somehow, that's good for all of us, in my opinion. It's really good for Bismarck. And so hopefully they think outside the box of that sometimes too.
And I think you probably hear it as a commissioner, you probably hear it as a dean, I hear it in a bunch of different aspects of my life. You guys should do and that's what this is, you know.
Yep.
Except I'm not going to do it, you know. The community needs to get behind it and do something. There was someone who runs a small development association that said, if you walk by a building twice and say that should be an ice cream shop, well, now it's up to you to make that an ice cream shop. And I think I've heard about, at least in my park role, what's the next huge park in this community? You know, what's the next Sertoma Park? We're coming up on a 100-year anniversary of Bismarck Parks and Rec. Maybe there's something there. Carl, what do you want?
Well, no, I think you're exactly right. Is we have so many, and people approach me. I think that should be, well, let's do it. Let's start acting on those types of things rather than just say what something should be or complaining about something that's not here. And being able to travel and go to different places, you're able to see these things and say, you know, Bismarck should have something like this. And I was in Arizona not too long ago, and they had a root beer float bicycle that had everything there, the keg of root beer, a thing of ice cream, and you ride around on your bicycles twinkling that little horn, and you could have root beer floats. And I sent a picture to my wife. I said, that's my venture for this summer. And she's like, no, I don't think so. But those are the kind of things that I think are really exciting for the community. And that's really what we want to do this for, is engage as many people, get a collective group together and say, what is it that we can do to make the community a little bit better for us?
So when people submit their project, are they supposed to have a plan of how they might implement it or what their expected needs are from the community to accomplish it?
Yes, that is an application, and it doesn't have to be, you know, completely set in stone, but give us an idea of how you're going to get there, who you need to engage as partners, and we can help you take it from there as well. So it needs to be fleshed out to the point where it can come to the commission and we know where we need to go next, I think. It doesn't have to be completed, but we need to know the path that we're going to go down next to maybe finish it up.
And ideally, we have a rubric that they can follow so they can see what we're going to be judging them on. So they're able, and again, community partnerships are good. The viability of the product itself, I mean, if you're talking multi-millions of dollars, that's probably not something that the city is going to get behind. But if you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, then we can take a look and see what kind of partnerships or sponsorships that we can get to help and move that forward.
Okay. But are you able to share any of the rubrics so people kind of have an idea what they maybe need to do?
You put me on the spot. I can share it, but it's not in my head completely.
Okay.
But a lot of it has to do with how is this helping with economic development. So is this going to put some people to work for a little bit? Is this going to enhance the community in a different way? Those are the kind of things that we have on there. Again, sustainability. Is this something that is going to have to require tens of thousands of dollars of maintenance every year? We want to kind of avoid those types of things that you would have to continually be going back to. But, you know, any type of thing that's just, you know, beautification of the community. You guys have done a great job in downtown with your flower project, kind of twofold. It's beautification and it provides pollination. So those are the types of things that we're looking at. Again, creativity that don't require a large cost. Those are the kind of projects that we'll more than likely advance to the commissioners to say, these are the ones we'd like to see the city be a part of.
And I didn't mean to put you totally on the spot, but I think it's important for people to get an idea what kinds of information should be included in their project as they submit it, so they know what you're looking at, and then ultimately what the city commission will be looking at to be able to choose, I guess, or say, yep, let's go with that list. Because I don't think we're going to pick one.
Right.
That's not the whole goal here. The goal would be that there's multiple ones that have viability.
And as Kate said, when they go to the site, it's going to be available there. But the other thing is we avail ourselves to say, ask us questions, run this by us if you want to, not to bias us in determining whether that's a good project or not. Just run this by us and say, is this something that what you're looking for? And we'll certainly give you our honest opinion on that. But anything that's going to make our communities better, absolutely, we want to see them.
Mayor Schmitz, I would just reach out too. You talked about the Bismarck Mandan Chamber. They have their leadership program, and they have to do a project at the end of that. I mean, this would be a great opportunity for the current leadership group or past leadership groups that had a project that maybe didn't get off the ground, another way to pitch that and see if they can get it to work. So that would be another, I think, group of people who would be great to apply.
That is a great group that,
Yep.
I mean, I know there are lots of projects that they all started and some of them got picked and some didn't, but you know, if there was somebody who was passionate about something, this might be another opportunity to kick it off.
Absolutely.
And just to tie in with the chamber being a part of this, we have the high school group, the leadership that's a part of that. We have the New Americans that are part. So there's tons of different people who are together as a collective that they can say, hey, let's put together some idea and let's see if this is something that we can move forward. So again, we have lots of groups that are out there doing these things.
We don't want to be evasive in terms of what do you want to see in terms of a project, because we want to leave it open enough that we're not cutting anybody off, but at the same time, you know, we will judge it on certain criteria. So we tried to leave it a little bit loose on purpose, I think.
Well, and that's great. I just wanted to, again, my whole goal is to give as much information out to people, and really no idea is a bad idea, but obviously there might be things that, think of the community. What if you're brand new to the community or you've been here for 75 years, what makes Bismarck feel good? Why are you proud of Bismarck? Or what would help make you more proud of Bismarck?
Yeah.
And again, we've seen an influx of the number of people coming in, just the sheer population, the demographics that we've seen in Bismarck, Mandan right now. And those are individuals who came from someplace and said, this is what we had in that community. I wonder if we could get it here. Now it's no longer a wondering, let's make it, how do we make that happen for here? So that's really what we want people to do, is bring those ideas that you've seen or that you've been a part of, bring those to our community as well.
Okay. What other topics should we talk about or discussion items with the call for projects? Anything I missed to ask?
Well, I was going to ask you what you think. Do people come up to you and say, we need a...
Well, you know, that's a great question. And
We put them on the spot.
No, and that's fine. It depends on who I'm talking to, but certainly, and some of these things are probably maybe outside the reach of the call for projects potentially, but maybe not. You never know. Maybe somebody comes with a well-funded thought process, but you know, I think we know that we need vibrancy across the community, and that includes lodging for not transient, but vacationers or people who are coming to visit our community. And you know, that's a big need for the community when it comes to what kind of lodging they are looking for, especially as we look at the library going in on Medora, and some of those travelers are going to be coming through here. How do we get them to stop and stay here and spend a little money? Well, they're going to probably want potentially a more upscale facility to stay at. Community-wide for growth of our retail sector and growth of our restaurant and hotels, we need to be able to attract conventions. So if there's somebody who can come up with some concepts of how we can do that without necessarily doing any brand new facility, that would be awesome, because that's the lower cost barrier. Facility might still be needed, but maybe we get started some way. I think, you know, the walkability is becoming more and more important, and that probably becomes more centric to downtown than elsewhere, but I believe fully that downtown is only successful if the areas around us on the edges, so to speak, are also successful, and vice versa. And so it's those things. I mean, I probably hear more about, you know, the problems with streets, or you know, do we have enough law enforcement, or whatever the case might be, or how do we get from point A to point B, and those are big projects that the city has to undertake. But you know, I guess if somebody has an idea how we can be more fluid, that would be great too.
I remember when you were talking about walkability, I remember when you guys did the painting of the crosswalks, and you extended that crosswalk outward in the guise of making sure that people were spending less time crossing the street. So we extended, I can't remember how many feet out. But I mean, those are the types of projects that we're looking for. They don't require a large cost, but it would be something where maybe the safety or the security of individuals within our community is better. Maybe it's a vibrancy thing, like you said, they're coming in here and there's a hospitality, but there's an event that's attached to that. So before they go to Medora, they attend this event, and then they can go to Medora. So it's many things like that that we're looking for.
And Carl, you brought up a good point about the safety component, and that is one thing I do here. Speeds are high. And so I don't know if that's a call for project per se that can be accomplished, but maybe somebody's got an idea that can help us help us think of a way to implement it through whatever mechanism we have within the city.
But not speed bumps. I
Not
hate
speed
bumps.
bumps.
My car's too low for that.
Some way to moderate speed to make sure we have safety of pedestrians and vehicular movement as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of new Americans that are coming into the community that don't drive yet. They don't have a license. And so the walkability, the getting around is a huge barrier for them. And so the more you can make something walkable or safe when it's walkable is going to be huge, especially by areas of affordable housing as well.
Right. And I'll throw that in, and we have a group meeting right now on public transportation, but certainly if some topics come up and percolate related around the public transportation and how we can enhance that. And again, it may just be an idea, and it may not be necessarily there's a big project, but maybe it helps the transportation group as well.
And to reiterate what Kate said, it's important for them to take a look at what the city has put together, what other cities have put together, and say, is this something we could incorporate? Because again, that's what you want to do, is implement that plan. You don't want to go through 5 years later and say, we didn't do any of this stuff on here. Let's do another strategic plan, and then all of a sudden put that up on the shelf. So we encourage people to get out there and see what is being requested, what has been done in other areas, and then again, put your collective minds together and see what we can do and make this a little bit more vibrant.
Yep. Great. Well, I thank both of you for joining me today on Bismarck Insights. This has been a very enlightening, engaging conversation, and we look forward to what comes.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Mayor. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for watching Bismarck Insights with Mayor Mike Schmitz. If you have specific topics or questions you'd like addressed in future episodes, email mschmitz@bismarcknd.gov. Or call the City of Bismarck at 701-355-1300. To learn more about the City of Bismarck, visit bismarcknd.gov or follow us on a variety of social media channels by searching BismarckND.gov. Bismarck Insights is a collaboration between Dakota Media Access and the City of Bismarck. You may find Bismarck Insights episodes on Government Access Channels 2 and 602, as well as on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV devices, on Radio Access 102.5 FM, and on demand at freetv.org.